If you live in San Diego or moving to San Diego, you probably had this thought. Rent is expensive, but buying feels impossible. And you're not wrong. In 2026, the average rent is in San Diego around $3,000 a month. That usually gets you a 2-bed, 1-bath apartment around 800 square feet, depending on the area. At the same time, people hear things like the median home price in San Diego is around $950,000 and immediately think that buying makes no sense at all. I'll just rent forever. But here's the problem with that thinking. Renting and buying are not competing at the same level because the monthly payment doesn't tell you the whole story. So in this video, we're using real 2026 numbers, real comparisons, and no hype, just a clear breakdown. By the end of this video, you'll know if renting or buying actually a smarter move for you in San Diego. And quick favor before we start, hit the like and subscribe, comment rent or buy so I know where you're at. Let's break it down now. First, let's set the expectations correctly, because this is where most people get confused. In early 2026, average rent is in San Diego around $3,000 a month. Now, what does actually $3,000 get you here? Most of the time, that's going to be a nice 2-bed, 1-bath apartment or a house around 700, 800 square feet, usually shared walls and no yard, no garage, limited storage. It's very rare to see 3-bedroom apartments for this price. That's just the reality of renting in San Diego right now. Now, this is where usually people get confused. They hear a headline like, the average home is in San Diego $950,000, and they immediately think that buying makes no sense. Renting is way cheaper. Why would I ever buy if the rent is $3,000? But that $950,000 number includes large single-family homes, properties close to the coast, newer constructions, homes with yards, garages, and more space. That's a completely different product than what renters living in right now. Let me put it this way. If you're renting for $3,000 a month, you're not renting a single family home in San Diego for $3,000. Those homes usually rent for $4,000 or more. So comparing a $3,000 apartment to a $950,000 house is not a fair comparison. Most renters at that price point choosing between an apartment or sometimes condo or townhome. So the fair comparison is renting a 2-bed, 1-bath apartment versus buying a 2-bed, 1-bath condo or townhome. Those condos or townhomes cost less than median price what you see online. They're a different tier of housing. Now, if you want a single family home with a yard, garage, more privacy, that's a different conversation. You should be comparing that to a single family home rent, not an apartment rent. And that's the first big mistake people make. They compare an apartment rent to a house prices. They get discouraged immediately and then decide buying makes no sense at all. Once you compare similar types of homes, the rent versus buy conversation becomes much more realistic. So what $3,000 rent actually gets you? Let's talk about renting honestly, because renting is not a bad thing. At around $3,000 a month in San Diego, you're usually getting a 2-bed, 1-bath apartment, sometimes 3-bed, shared walls, limited storage, limited parking, and usually rent increases over time. You're paying for convenience and flexibility. Now, if you stay here for about 5 years, that's about $180,000 paid in rent. No ownership, no tax benefit. That sounds scary when you say it like that, but here's the truth. Renting actually makes a lot of sense for many people. Renting is great if you're early in the career, you're still figuring out your income, you don't know how long you'll stay in San Diego, and you don't want to deal with repairs, maintenance. When the water heater breaks, it's not your problem. When the roof leaks, it's not your problem. You just pay rent and that's it. That peace of mind has value. The issue isn't renting. The issue is long-term renting without a plan. A lot of people rent for years, not because it's the best option, because buying feels confusing or intimidating. And that's when people get stuck. Not because renting is wrong, but because they never stop to ask if it still makes sense for where they're in life. What buying comparable homes look like? Now let's talk about buying something that's actually comparable to what renters are living in. In many parts of San Diego, 2-bed, 1-bath condo, townhome can range around $450,000 to $750,000 depending on the area and the condition. So let's use a realistic example. Let's say you buy a $500,000 condo in a decent neighborhood. With today's mortgage rates around 6%, here's what the monthly cost might look like. Using an FHA loan, which is common for the first-time home buyers, you will put 3.5% down, which is around $17,000. Your total monthly payment, including mortgage, property taxes, insurance, and HOA, could land around $42 to $43 per month, give or take. Now, yes, that's higher than $3,000 rent at first. But here's the key difference. That money isn't disappearing anymore. Every month you own, part of that payment goes toward paying down your loan. You're building ownership. You're not just paying a bill, and you're locking in your housing costs over the long term. Rents usually go up every year. Your mortgage payment doesn't. Now, if you're eligible for a VA loan, this is where it even gets better. With a VA loan, you can buy with close to zero money out of pocket, no down payment, no monthly mortgage insurance. So instead of needing that $17,000 down payment, you could keep that money in your pocket. Your monthly payment might be very similar to the FHA example, sometimes even lower, but way less cash needed up front. So buying doesn't always mean you need a huge down payment or that money just disappears. It means you're slowly turning your monthly payment into something you actually own. So let's talk about tax benefits. A lot of renters don't really think about tax benefits. When you own a home, you're allowed to deduct mortgage interest and property taxes. Now, let me be very clear. This doesn't mean the government sends you a check for buying a house, but it does mean you pay way less in taxes than someone renting at the same income. Think about it like this. When you make a mortgage payment, especially in early years, big portion of that payment is interest. That interest is deductible. Your property taxes, those are deductible too, within limits. So instead of all your housing money disappearing, the part of it actually helps you reduce your taxable income. For a lot of homeowners, that can mean keeping a few $100s each month or getting a larger tax refund at the tax time. It's not magic, and it doesn't make buying cheap at all. But it softens the real cost of owning. Thousands of dollars you're staying in your pocket instead of going to taxes. Now, compared to that renting, when you rent, no tax benefits at all. Every rent payment after tax money gone forever. So again, buying doesn't automatically win. But once you factor in tax benefits, the math looks very different than people expect. And this is one of those things you really understand after you own. Quick pause real quick. If this breakdown is helping you understand San Diego a little better, hit the like button. It really helps this video reach more people. And I'm curious, drop a comment below. What are you paying for rent right now? Or what price range are you thinking about buying? I read the comments and I reply. And if you want to talk about your situation, I've got a free strategy call linked below. Now let's keep going. The most important question, how long are you staying in San Diego? This part matters more than anything else. Before you even ask rent or buy, ask this. How long am I actually staying in San Diego? Here's a simple way to think about it. If you're staying here under 3 years, renting usually makes more sense. Around 5 years, buying can start to make sense. 7 to 10 years, owning usually wins in the long term. And here's why. Buying a home has upfront costs. Selling a home has costs too. Time is what makes buying work. The longer you stay, the more your loan gets paid down, your rent stays locked, and your equity has time to grow. Buying for a short stay is risky. Buying for a long stay is a strategy. And if your goal is to buy smart, not just to buy anything, I'll be posting more videos on investing strategies, long-term plays, and how people actually build wealth in expensive markets like in San Diego. Here's another thing people don't talk about enough. San Diego is not one market. It's many different markets. You've got coastals versus inland, North County versus South Bay, condos versus townhomes, houses, and investment properties. A $500,000 condo in one area could easily be $900 in another area, even though if it's the same size, the same layout. So smartest buyers don't ask, can I buy in San Diego? They ask, where does my lifestyle and my budget actually line up? What are my long-term goals? Because buying smart here isn't about finding the perfect home. It's about understanding trade-offs. Now, let's be very clear about this part. Renting can be a smart move too. Renting makes sense if your job situation isn't stable yet. You're not sure how long you'll stay here. You're saving money on purpose to invest in something else like stocks or crypto. You don't want to deal with repairs, HOA, or ownership stress. Renting gives you flexibility. Renting gives you breathing room. Renting is a tool. The mistake is not renting. The mistake is renting year after year without ever checking if it still makes sense. Now, on the other side, buying can be a smart move too. Buying makes sense if you're staying here long term. The monthly payment is comfortable. You want stability and equity. You want to build something over time. Buying isn't about the timing the market perfectly. It's about the time in the market. The longer you stay, the more your loan gets paid down. The more rent increases you avoid. The more ownership starts working in your favor. So there's no single right answer. The right answer depends on you, your timeline, your income, your comfort level, and your plan. That's how you make a smart decision in San Diego. If this video helped you to see the rent or buy decision more clearly, hit the like and subscribe. I post San Diego housing videos like this every week. And if you want to look at your own situation, I've got a free call linked below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.